listening to Inside Real Estate, your source for all things mortgage and real estate related. The show that brings you all the hottest topics and insights directly from those who know it most. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
From those who know it most. I don't know if that's true anymore. Do we know it most, guys?
What is sure everyone? One person knows the most.
We know it better than some. How about that?
Some. Yeah.
Better than some.
Better than some. What's up, everyone? Paul Pastelakis, Brad Weisgerber, Salvatore Kuzmano. We are Inside Real Estate. Thank you for all our subscribers, for all our listeners. We really appreciate you liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell to make sure that you don't miss any of our shows. You can find us on Facebook /IRE Podcast if you want to watch us live, or you can catch us on any podcast app. We're pretty much everywhere. So that is the intro. Today we have a really special guest who is always making headlines. I mean, especially as of late. We've got Matt here. We're going to talk to Matt a little bit about what's been going on. You know, he put an ultimatum out there. I also want to talk about some of the things that he's doing in his business. He's been, since he's gone public, Matt has been very gracious with some of the stuff that he's done. So we're going to kind of get into all that, but I want to bring Matt on the show. Matt, welcome to the show. Thank you again for doing our show. You're so gracious with us, man. And we can't thank you enough.
No, love being part of it. You guys are doing great things. Happy to be here with you guys.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So, I mean, we're going to have a lot of industry professionals probably watching this, and made some headlines lately, Matt. Congratulations. I mean, you just keep making headlines. That's awesome. Obviously the whole thing in the broker world, you made headlines for saying, hey, listen, if you want to work with us, totally cool. And I think you said 72 other lenders, whatever the number is. But you made kind of you drew a line in the sand a little bit and said, if you're going to work with Quicken, obviously we don't believe in what they're doing. We're not going to capitulate to that. We're not going to work with that. You believe wholeheartly that it's not good for the industry, right? So I kind of wanted to kind of get in your head a little bit about that. I mean, you've already talked about why you did it, but I do want to get in your head a little bit and see. Have you seen backlash from that? Have you heard anybody? I mean, I know that's overwhelming. It's been positive, but have you heard any backlash?
Yeah, so in general, it's, I know you said ultimatum. I don't even look like an ultimatum. I look at it as a business philosophy. Me stating our business philosophy, what we believe in. We believe brokers are better for consumers. Realtors should work with brokers because you can get lower rates, close on time. Consumers should work with brokers, lower rates, close on time, fast, easy process. We believe in that with all my heart, with all 9,000 people and everything I believe in, what I've been doing for 18 years. So we're all in on that philosophy. And so basically what we did is we came out and stated our philosophy and said that, listen, I believe there's two companies, Fairway Independent and Rocket Mortgage, that are out there undercutting the mortgage brokers' lifeblood, the realtors and the loan officers, and doing some things, in my opinion, underhanded ways. And so I basically said, listen, I can't stop them. God bless them. But what I can do is tell my partners, people that are all in with UWM, if you want to work with them, great. That's your choice. You can't work with me anymore. There's a benefit of working with UWM. We do a lot of things to help brokers grow, and we're going to continue to do a lot of great things. And if you want to be on our team and part of our family, not just UWM, but 70 other wholesale lenders, you can work with any of us. And that was really the statement, and it's been overwhelmingly positive. Of course, the backlash I got was a little bit more surprising than any, was just the media. Because, if you spend $1 billion on media at Rocket, you can have them to write a couple articles on your behalf, and that's fine. I'm a big boy. I can take people saying negative things about me. The proof's in the pudding. If I got over 10,500 brokers or, plus 10,000 brokers that say I'm all in with you, and then I got 500 or 520, or I don't know the exact number, that said, hey, no, thank you. Perfect. I have nothing wrong with those 520. I wish those 520 happiness and wellness and greatness and do all these great things, but they're just not going to work with me. And I'm perfectly happy because I'd rather focus my attention on companies that actually are all in. I'd rather train your loan officers. I'd rather give you technology than giving it to people that are, letting it slide out the back door to what I consider the two companies that were underhandedly hurting the broker channel.
Yeah. It's interesting. You threw Fairway in there and some people were like, okay, Quicken, right? Like we totally get it. Why Fairway?
Well, the things that they're doing with loan officers, so the people that run that company do some very aggressive, inappropriate things with recruiting loan officers. You can recruit, everyone can recruit, but the way they compensate them and then the way they maybe bait and switch some different things. I've heard too many horror stories from loan officers that used to have broker shops that went there and are trying to get back out with non-competes. They can't do it. There's some things that were being done. And so basically my perspective is there's two companies. One was attacking loan officers. One was attacking realtors. And this is not the wholesale, you're stealing the loans, consumer stuff. Like I believe in that, but that's not what this is about. This is about people that are hurting the lifeblood of the broker channel. You guys know it. I mean, you guys are some of the best people in Michigan with real estate agents. Real estate agents count on you. If real estate agents aren't working with you and are cut out of the equation, that hurts your business. And actually, it hurts the real estate agent's business just as much as yours. So it's really a lose-lose, but people don't understand that. And so, I can't do everything, but I can stand up for what I believe in. My perspective, Paul, and I think I told you this, is my life was great. My life is great right now. I didn't have to do anything. I could have kept my head in the sand and not done anything. I don't care if the brokers go away in 5-10 years. Like, who cares? But that's not who I am. It's harder to do what's right sometimes. And the right thing was to stand up for the broker channel. The easy thing would have been to just keep my head in the sand, keep making a lot of money, keep growing my business. And who cares in 5-10 years? But this is the right thing to do. And if I take some heat for it, I'm good with it.
It's funny that you say that, because I always say that the right thing to do is usually the harder path. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, if you had to look at two paths, and one's easy, one's hard, generally speaking, the harder path is usually the one that you should go down. So I appreciate you saying that. We talked, and Matt, I told you my concerns more than anything for us. And I think other people in the industry, what do you say to the people that are like, well, we want to be independent, we don't want to be dictated to? I think that was the one part that I think was the hard part to swallow from us as an independent mortgage company. That was the only part personally that I think we were like, well, that's kind of fucked up. But at the same time, we looked at the situation. I mean, you guys are so far away ahead of everybody else, from technology, from process, from systems, that obviously the decision was easy for us. But what do you say to those people that are like, man, I don't want to be told what to do because we're independent?
Yeah. And there's some people out there like that. This is the way I think about it, is like, you are independent still. The fact that I got to follow Fannie Mae's rules and Freddie Mac's rules and FHFA's rules, and I got to follow the 50 different states government. Like, I got to follow rules. Like, everyone's got processes. Like, what about I tell you that, hey, listen, if you send me a loan and it pays off in a certain time, that's an EPO. That's a rule, right? Everyone's got rules. If you commit fraud, I'm going to cut you off. That's a rule. Like, everyone's got rules and processes to follow. To say that takes away independence, it would take away your independence if I said you have to work with me exclusively. That I would agree with you, because then you're just a manager, a branch manager. Like, that's not what I said. I said, work with me and 72 other lenders. It's interesting. I had a broker of ours that doesn't use me at all. Okay. Calls me and says, hey, you don't know who I am because I don't use you. I said, okay, great. He's like, but I used Rocket. And he goes, when I heard you speak, he goes, I'm signing the addendum, but just so you know, I don't even want to use you. I'm going to use the other 70 lenders. I work with Remen or whoever he was saying he was working with. The whole point was, though, he said, listen, I respect that you're standing up for the right thing, and I hadn't thought of it that way, and let's do this, but I'm not sending you any loans. And I said, great, I'm not in it to get more loans. This wasn't about me getting more loans. Like, I was trying to do what's right. Like, I have enough loans. We're doing great. We're having record months, record quarter. We're doing great things. But, I understand. There's a lot of different people who can push back all the independence. Like, listen, you're independent. You got 70 wholesale lenders. You are you run your own business. You pay people what you want to pay people. You don't have to send me a loan ever. All I was saying is my business philosophy is, if you help them, I'm not helping you. And you can say, I want to still help them. And I said, great. Then you just don't work with me.
So from the consumer level, where do you see Quicken faltering? Like, obviously for us, we believe doing a purchase with a broker, doing a purchase with us is going to be better, faster, easier, cheaper, all that, right? But from a consumer level, why would I, as a consumer, care where my loan goes?
Well, you want the best process. So no one wants a mortgage. You want the house, right? So if it's a purchase or refinance, we know this is not like hidden information here. Quicken Loans, Rocket Mortgage charges higher rates or more fees than a broker. It's not like this thing that nobody knows. You guys are in the industry. Everyone knows it's fact. Okay. And so if I'm a consumer, I want to go where I get the best deal. And you know what the best deal is? It's not necessarily my company. It's a broker like you at Omega that will shop on your behalf. And back to the independence, like you have, no one uses 73 lenders anyways. You probably have 10 lenders that you probably really work with. And so you pick which one of the 10 lenders is the best for that consumer based on rate, services, cost, timeline, technology, and the needs of the consumer, and you place them with that lender. And that's how this business works. And that's why they should always go to a broker, even if it's not UWM. Even if someone doesn't work with UWM at all, I'm cool with it. Just go to a broker. Brokers are better. Find a mortgagebroker.com. Find a local broker. Go to Omega if you're in Michigan. Like, there's so many great brokers. Find a broker. Do not go to the big retail lenders or big banks.
Yeah, I agree with that. The process, everything. I mean, even from a real estate level, and Sal, you see this from a real estate level, agent level. A lot of agents won't take a pre-approval from some banks, and I think, Sal, you've experienced this yourself. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean, well, not to say that every experience that someone does with a bank is a bad one, but there's so many experiences out there because they're so big and they probably get so much business just by people walking in the door. There's a lot of jaded experiences that sellers and or real estate agents have had, right? So right now, in a competitive market where there's really low inventory and multiple offers, I think it's important to work with someone local, right? Someone who has relationships and works with these real estate agents and is dependable and reliable in terms of getting things done, right? And I mean, I think with, find a mortgage broker and the internet, like, there is no, just read the reviews. The social proof right now, as far as what brokers do for you, as opposed to some loan officer who's hopped around to 15 different banks in the past 5 years, speaks for itself, right? I mean, we put our neck on the line completely with our reputation and our whole entire business to get something done for a client.
Yeah, and I think it's a great point, Sal. Let me just add that's what brokers different. Like, your reputation, Sal, is on the line in your local community. And if you don't, it's not like you're getting business in New Mexico today. You're taking care of everyone in Metro Detroit. How do you do it? And purchases matter. Contract dates matter. Real estate agents know that a loan officer like yourself can get it done in time. UWM, we're the largest purchase lender in the country, and we're the number 2 overall lender, but the number 1 by purchase by a long shot. That's because you have to focus on contract date. You got to focus on certainty, and that's what you guys can provide. And retail just doesn't provide it at the same level as brokers, from what I've seen.
I think that this year, right, or at least this quarter that we've come upon is the next shift, right? Refinances are way down, at least, from what I've been seeing. I mean, it was like a crazy little refi boom for a year, but now it's all back on full throttle with purchases. And, as a broker, right, like, rates aren't as important to me. I'd rather make less money and give the same rate, but be able to deliver to get the referrals.
I agree.
Agree
with that 100%.
That's where I think that for me, like, shopped around other lenders, like, I honestly don't even care what the rates are. I care about making sure that I get that done. And I think that's like where UWM has really positioned themselves to be the powerhouse as far as process, turn times. And really the biggest thing is the communication.
Yeah. Was that by design, Matt, from the very beginning, that like purchase would be a focus for you guys, making sure that you're at early stages of the business, right? When you first started it, was it a thought process then, or did it just happen naturally? No,
absolutely. Definitely a thought process. The mortgage business has a lot of cycles. You can take a lot of the cycles out if you dominate purchase. Of course, when you dominate purchase, you're going to take advantage of refis like we just did in the last 12 months. Everyone's taking advantage of that. However, you're not, reliant on refinance. If you're doing business with realtors, you have these 5 realtors referring you business, you're taking care of them. You never look away from them. Take great care of them. Of course, you can refinance people. And so, it was definitely a conscious business decision to differentiate on the purchase business because it's long-standing. It lasts through all cycles because people are always buying homes.
Yeah. And so one thing that happened after this whole thing kind of embroiled was Austin Nemi came out and he like did this whole thing where he had like stats and whatnot. And really the gist of it was UWM is scared. That's why they're doing this, because we're catching up to them, blah, 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 blah. And so I'm curious how you feel that part of it, because he had graphs and the market share and all that stuff, right, that he talked about. And I like Austin. I don't think there's anything wrong with Austin at all. He's doing his job. But at the same time, how do you feel about that? Like, when did you have an idea in your head, like, come on, like that's not reality, right? Or is it?
Yeah, I think sometimes the people at Rocket don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, and so they love telling good stories, and they're gonna put graphs and charts and whatever they want to put together. It's all ridiculousness. But the reality is this: if someone says, "Oh, that's not competitive," like this is the most competitive move you can make. This is me saying, "Listen, if you can pick them or you can pick us." I'm all in with brokers. If you want to think of it that way, I don't even think of it as competitive. I think this is business philosophy. I think it's the right decision for the brokers, and it would have been easier for me not to deal with it. Like, I'm doing okay. The business is doing okay. I think it's just, the reality, the real question, Paul, is this. If everything that Austin Nemick or Jay Farner or Dan Gilbert said about this subject was true, then why would they be so upset? right? Like they said, oh, we're having record days. Brokers all want to work with them. Then why are you calling every media person in the whole world to try to get me to back off, right? If it was so great for your business, why are you so upset, right? The reality is this: brokers are smart people. Yes, of course, no one likes to feel like they're being told what to do, but brokers are smart people. They know that, hey, listen, there's been one company that's always been here with us, and I had to use up a little of my goodwill with brokers based on them believing in this, but they all did. Over 10,000 of them said, let's go. And we're having a great month, everything's going fantastic. And you know what? It's just getting started. Brokers are going to win long term. We are going to battle, and all in brokers together, we're going to win because it's better for consumers and it's better for loan officers. Those are two facts. Brokers are better for consumers and loan officers and real estate agents. So if you throw those things in there, it's like, why aren't they winning? They are going to win unless an unusual force takes us out. And we're going to stand up to those forces, and that's what we did.
Yeah, it's funny when we Brad.
Speaking of long term, is this the addendum where you can't work with Quicken or whatever the other one is? Is Fairway. That forever? Yeah, Fairway. Is that forever, or is there anything that those two companies can do to kind of fix it and open it back up, or is it just never going to happen again?
Yeah. So Brett, it's funny is that was one of the thoughts I had was like maybe, Dan Gilbert and Jay Farner and them will like, you know what we're doing isn't the best thing, and brokers are more important to me than this underhanded thing we're doing and we're going to change. And then what happens? Then I'd say, let's do it. Let's go. I love it. Listen, I'm all in for the brokers. I wish that would be the outcome. I wish that would be the answer. And same thing with Fairway. I wish they'd say, listen, brokers matter. And we agree. We understand that we our retail business can compete with them, but let's compete fairly. We compete fairly above board like everyone else. Let's all play together. But that's not how they are. That's not what Dan Gilbert and Jay Farner are about. That's not what they're about. They're not going to change.
And then, I mean, to even, think of a thought where they would shut their retail down or it wouldn't be a conflict of interest, just as a scenario that doesn't exist, right? I mean, think of like, I've got my golden goose and then I've got my thing in the oven, right? I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
The brokers are the feeder system that are filling in the gaps for Rocket. Let's just be clear, right? Like they're filling in the gaps. When refi slow down, they'll fill in the gap for the purchases. When they need more data, more servicing book, the brokers fill the gap. The brokers fill a lot of gaps for them. We know that, and there's nothing wrong with it. Like, I'm not criticizing their business model. I'm just saying that my business model is all in with brokers. And if you want to be all in with me, let's do this. If you want to help them, go do it. That's just don't count on me helping you anymore.
I mean, I think as a business model, it's great for them, right? But when you think about like what it does for us, again, and I've never been like, and I mean, I get it, right? And it's a hot subject for a lot, but I've never been like too worried about the wholesale part, right? Like if my client doesn't call me, like I put that on like me, right? And that's just my onus, right? But at the same time, I'm filling the bottom line of a company that has, massive marketing, reach and everything. And in the end, we are competing with them, right? And whether it goes to Rocket Wholesale or Quicken or whatever, it's a whole thing that we're just feeding some beast. Right. And I mean, I think the same about some of the other companies, even, that aren't necessarily named here, but I'm getting an LE sent to me by, the same company and their rates are somehow smoking ours or whatever. Right. It's like, how this isn't fair.
It's a competitive market, and sale, like you're right on, like, how do we compete? And the way I think is compete head to head. Let's compete fairly. Let's compete above board. Let's compete the right way. And then what happens when that happens? Brokers win. You're going to win every time. But when things are not fair and and things are not level playing field, and like I said, there's one way to go tattle, or there's another way to just say, hey, listen, we're just going to compete head to head and do it the right way. And that's what brokers do. They do it the right way, lower rates for consumers, better process, and I'm all in with the broker channel.
Yeah, Matt. So like one thing that I'm interested in is obviously you're doing this, you're putting yourself out there. On some level, you have to perform and give that value back, right? If you're saying, hey, I'm the guy, right? You're kind of putting that onus on UWM and your back to say, yeah, I am the guy and I'm going to perform. So obviously you guys are doing a fantastic job. Just so everybody understands from consumer level on our side, using United Wholesale Mortgage, their technology, their process, everything, it's not even close. Like Quicken might be second in that space in the broker world, but it's not even close, right? Like it's a very big difference. But what are you putting on your shoulders now to say, okay, I got my people now, right? You got them now, let's go, right? And is that how you feel?
Absolutely. So I love it. I enjoy that. What you just said, Paul, is exactly how I feel. Like, hey, listen, the easy path was to maintain status quo. This was, hey, let's go. And then, hey, Matt, now let's be a thumb pointer. What do I got to do to make sure that Paul and Sal and Brad can dominate, right? And so I got some huge technology things coming out. You guys are going to see and love, okay? But let's put that aside. Jumbo came out with the Jumbo product, which was fantastic, differentiated, give you guys an ability which brokers haven't had access to it the same way. So sharp price, 89.99 LTV. Also, a couple other products. Like I basically have to say, hey, listen, I'm not 100% of any broker's business, but can I be 80 to 90% of it if they need me? And I have to be able to deliver. And that's what we did. We changed some things on our government FICOs, made it pricing better. We changed some different things on the price. We got rid of the Conquest program. I mean, honestly, when I made the announcement March 4th, I knew that the gossip stuff would be the Rocket Fairway stuff. But the real thing was we went public. I built up liquidity to the level that we're at the position where we can dominate for the long term. I turned Conquest off and made products and pricing substantially better and simpler, and came out with the Jumbo program. That was the real story. The gossip world came over the Quicken, and that's okay. I get it. People like to talk about it. But the reality is that's the biggest stuff that came out on March 4th, and it's been a home run for our clients. Our clients are differentiating. When rates ticked up, we came in there. And yes, I know I got to fill that void for everybody, not just on Rocket and Fairway, but just be the best lender. And I got some big things coming. I got some coming later this month, but I got some big tech coming later that you'll see and you'll love.
I love that.
You want to preview it here? What is it?
Yeah, I could preview it here.
Brad's like,
I could, but I'm not going to, Brad.
So one thing that Quicken does very well, other companies do very well, it's like they consumer direct, right? And brokers do a great job referrals, right? Referral business, real estate agents. That's our bread and butter. We obviously do some consumer direct with our marketing and all of that. But how can long-term the broker community across the country get to the consumer first? That I'm curious. Do you have any idea on how? I know you got find a broker. I forget what it findabroker.com or whatever it is. But do you have any idea on how you want to help the broker community kind of get to the consumer first, other than what you've been doing as far as what your marketing has been?
Yeah, findamortgagebroker.com is definitely a way. But I did Super Bowl ads, and I do different things to drive people there to get to brokers. The real way, though, is how do we get them? Like once they come into the broker channel, into Omega, for instance, we need you guys to wow them. Close it in 17 days, 19 days at a great rate. And then what happens is, back to Sal's point earlier, they're going to keep calling Sal because Sal does a heck of a job. He did a great job. He made the process faster, easier, and cheaper. And then the key is that consumer tells their friend or their cousin or something. And then what we do is we start to multiply the broker channel loans. If you multiply the broker channel loans and you do that for a couple of years, everyone's been through a broker in the last 3-4 years. Let's just fast forward to 2025. Everyone's been through a broker and they know that's the best way, and they have a broker and they continue at, right? If everyone goes to a broker or then leaves or just never sees a broker, they just don't know any better. They just go to Wells or Chase or Bank of America or Rocket or whoever and never worked with Sal or Brad or Paul or any of you guys, then we have no chance. So how do we educate consumers is a big thing. Educate realtors. And at the same time, once they come in, let's wow them. And that's what you guys do, and they always want to come back for more. And then we got to stay in front of them when we wow them. Yeah.
So that's interesting. That just by doing good work, you can grow your business. I think anybody out there that's in our business, you don't have to be super spectacular. You just have to do a good job and really perform at a high level. You will eventually get more business because of that.
And one thing I'll add is do a great job, as you said, and then communicate during and after the process. I think where people lose is they don't send a happy birthday email a year later. They don't say in front of their clients. So just communicate, do a great job, and let them know you're still there. Be in front of them. And that's some of the things that we really like to coach brokers on. And you guys do a great job over at Omega on it.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Well, I think to that point too, not to beat a dead horse, but there is 1,000 different ways that the, lenders and banks and whatever. I mean, you walk into the bank and you'll see an ad for 1.99 on a 30-year right now, right? And then you read the fine print and whatnot. So it's like, my clients will be going to get their cashier's check for closing and be like, hey, and it's like, this is the bank where you hold your money, but that's it. like read that fine print and then call me after you get your cashier's check. And
Right.
It's always that same deal, but you have to stay in front of them and you have to stay on them, not necessarily in a weird way, right? Like a over the top communication, but just like, hey, I'm here and I want to do what I did for you for other people.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you completely.
So last thing, I don't want to beat a dead horse, because another question that we had that came up was, okay, with this whole thing, Matt, where does it stop? Like, why isn't Loan Depot on that list? Or why isn't, some of these other companies on that list that you created on that? Is there a reason why it was just those two and not other ones? Or do you feel like they're not as egregious? Or do you think potentially you would add more people or add more restrictions as far as that goes?
Yeah, no, nobody's getting added. So I even put that in the denim. I said, listen, it's two companies. I'm not adding someone in 5 years. I'm not adding someone in 10 years. I basically this is not a decision I made on March 4th. This has been something we've talked about for a while. We've done our research. We talked to attorneys. We talked to brokers. We talked to loan officers. We talked to consumers. We talked to a lot of people to make this decision on whether it was two companies or if we're going to do one company or three companies. And it's been decided as two companies and no one else is getting added at all. And that's for certain. And then why those other companies were not involved is because these two companies we thought were the most egregious and the biggest risk systematically to the mortgage broker channel and consumers, and getting consumers the best deal possible through mortgage brokers. So they are a systematic risk. And so we attack the systematic risk. Once again, it doesn't stop anything. It just maybe hurts them. For some people, because they got more press because they got all these articles about them. Right? But the reality is this: mortgage brokers, my philosophy is we're all in with you. We're going to help you succeed, help you win, help you grow. And companies that are not trying to help, companies that are doing, they're just out there just existing and maybe hurting you. If they're hurting you, I stood up against them. If they're just out there existing, like, we're competing, let's go.
Well, so the reality is too, like if you don't perform or back up everything you said, I mean, brokers can still terminate the relationship and go work with Quicken, right?
Anytime. I have no problem with it. I have to be great every day. Right?
Yeah.
You can leave me I told everyone, if you pick them, great. I'm closing all your loans out. I know Quicken stopped extending locks for people and doing some back. Once again, I know who they are. I know what Dan and Jay are all about. I know who they are. They know who they are. And them doing things like that is inappropriate. But once again, we did everything above board. And at the same time, I have to perform. I told somebody that was one of their top clients at Rocket, did like 200 loans a month of them. Didn't do that much with us, but believed in the mission and it came with us. I go, listen, guess what? If I suck in 4 months, you could just say I'm all set, Matt, and go back, right? I have to be great every day. This is not a marriage. This is a decision, right? You can decide what you want, and if I'm wrong, then you go. And we're going to be great every day, and they're not going anywhere because they know what the mission's about and they believe in the broker channel.
Yeah, and I think we're going to get off this subject, but one thing that is evident, two things actually, excuse me. You have big balls for doing it, and two, you truly this like this is something that you're passionate about. This isn't something that you're doing or that's contrived. I personally don't think so. At least I've talked to you many times. I even had a conversation with you when it all went down, and we had a really healthy conversation, and we did we know what we're doing and we're happy to be doing it. But it was an interesting thing that you did. It from a legal standpoint, I was like, damn, bro, that takes balls. So congratulations on pulling it off. So one thing that you're doing, you're going to have, you're doing vaccinations at your place, right? You guys are opening up the gymnasium, I think, to do vaccinations. How did that come about?
Yeah, just, at the UWM Sports Complex, which is actually, about 1,000 feet from my office right now, is where we have it set up where, the community needs a place, right? And, all these different places, you have to have a lot of space and a lot of that. So it was the old Ultimate Soccer, which I had bought and turned into the UWM Sports Complex. And I took one of the fields and said, let's make this for vaccinations for all of Oakland County. Too many people didn't have access to it. The vaccines are coming in, but you don't know how to get there. So we made a big thing and said, we'll do that for the community, do the right thing. Once again, do the right thing, help people out. And hopefully this next 90 days, getting a lot of vaccinations, get thousands and thousands per day, and hopefully help put this pandemic behind us once and for all in Metro Detroit and really hopefully the country. But I'm focused on Metro Detroit, obviously. Yeah,
the pandemic obviously it feels like it's coming to an end kind of, but there's resurgence and all that. What do you see for the rest of the year as far as innovation in our industry? Do you see more innovation? Because our industry, for what it's worth, because there's so much opportunity and there's so much money in our industry that, it's rife for new innovation, new companies, tech startups, whatever it may be. Do you see anything coming down into our industry that could change things from a Fannie, Freddie, anything that could to streamline things? Are LOs going to be obsolete in 10 years because it's all going to be automated, right? Like, what do you see as far as technology coming in and kind of playing a role in our future, and kind of how do we prepare ourselves as a broker for that?
Yeah, well, technology's coming. Technology's here, I think, actually. And the technology is all about efficiencies. How do you make things faster, easier, and then eventually it becomes cheaper? And so what I think about is, loan officers, processors. I mean, how do you make it so that you can do more in the same amount of 8 hours or 10 hours, or how many hours you're working in a day? And technology helps you. Technology helps you communicate better with consumers. So you don't have to call them because they have access to your tracking device of what's going on in the loan, right? And you have all these different things. And so technology is a big deal. But the thing is, the mortgage business has never really been a great innovator. So I think from the technology, the lender side, I know we've got some big things, and I know you guys are doing great things at Omega. I know you got some different ways of really differentiating yourself. That's going to keep happening. But I don't see much innovation from the Fannie, Freddie, Ginnie Mae stuff right now. The government's slow. And since it's part of the government, it's just slow and a little bit clunky sometimes. I wish they could do more things. There's a lot of ideas we've given and tried, and they kind of, there's different administrations, there's different things that happen, and things just kind of go back and forth. Yeah. So, but what I would tell you is this: for any loan officer, real estate agent, anyone, like, you have to be all in on technology. You have to be great on technology. If you're not great on technology, you will lose. Whether it's in 2 years, 5 years, or 10 years, you will lose. You have to be great in technology. You have to differentiate the process with that. But at the same time, that's where partnerships come in, and hopefully we can help you, and you can help others, and you can help real estate agents, and everyone works together to differentiate, make the process faster, easier, and cheaper. Yeah.
Our business, I think the average age of a loan officer is in the 50s right now, right? We're a little bit of an older generation. I see a lot of new millennials coming into the business, but not as much as back in the past. How does a broker like us scale and hire the right people? Does that make sense? Like, it's difficult for a broker our size to train and get them ready and get them going. What tools do you think a broker like any broker in the country really to grow? How do they find the talent?
Yeah. So this is the thing, no one's like in high school or college, like, I'm thinking about the mortgage business. It's going to be the one, right? Like, it just doesn't happen that way. No. Right. And so how do you educate people on it? But the reality is the opportunity is great, because you know what? Think about the mortgage business. Besides that it's mortgage, it sounds boring. The truth is, what you guys do every day is you help people find their dream home. Real estate helps them find it. You help them get that dream home at a better price than get it elsewhere. You help make that stressful situation less stressful. You're helping people accomplish their dreams. Or on a refinance side, you're helping people save money, or maybe take cash out to be able to do something to change their lives in a really positive way. Like, it's a really cool business. And so how do you get people interested? You have to talk about it and create that opportunity. But you can make money in the mortgage business. You can be successful just like you be in anything. But I think educate people. I'm really big on bringing people from outside the industry and teaching them this business, because once they learn it, just like me 18 years ago, you fall in love with it because you can make an impact. You can make great income. You can have great control of your schedule. There's a lot of great parts about this business and guess what? Housing and mortgages aren't going anywhere. So it's not like it's like, well, are they going to get rid of mortgages? No, those are going to always be here. And so, you need them, and it's going to be a great process. So if you can differentiate, it's a great thing. So how do you get those people in? I think that's part of the game.
So now that, and Sal, Brad, we're seeing this a little bit now. Refinances are, rates went down so low. A lot of people refinance or have refinanced. There's still a lot of people that can refinance, but that's going to eventually dry up as rates go up a little bit, right? And purchase to me is the next step, because people will always be buying houses. I mean, just the way it works, right? So what happens to some of these companies that are so refinance heavy or refinance focused, right? What happens? All of a sudden, they're going to be calling realtors, right? And all of a sudden, these realtors are going to get lots of phone calls when rates go up. But when rates go down, these realtors don't get any phone calls and nobody's talking to them, right? So what do you see for our industry? I mean, we're positioned well as brokers to do that. But from a large business standpoint, let's say Quicken, for instance, they're huge at consumer direct and huge on refinances. I mean, it's evident by their going public with stuff. So what do you see going down as far as that goes? Like, how do we capitalize on the purchase, and how do we mitigate the loss of refinances?
Yeah, well, my take is, there's definitely companies out there that are going to get hurt by the refinance boom ending, right? It's not going to be you as much. It's not going to be brokers as much. But, of course, everyone wants refis. I like refinances too, and we still do a lot of them. Of course, it's great, and it's a positive thing. But the reality is places like Quicken, that I think are 93% refinance, like that's going to affect them a little bit more. And then what happens is they start saying, okay, let's go do purchases. How do we get in a purchase? Not just Quicken, but everybody out there who's done it. And then now they're competing with you on the purchase side. How do you stay in front of realtors? And realtors are smart too. They're like, okay, this broker, I've never heard of this loan officer, or this retail player has never called me. My guy is Sal, my guy is Brad, Paul, whoever it may be. But the reality is this: refinances are not the same as purchases. Purchases are much more complex. Refinance, you have a one-to-one connection. Purchase, you got a one-to-one with the borrower. Then you got two agents, listing and buying side, and you got a seller. You got two title companies instead of one. Not your best buddy over here at the title company. It's like whoever the realtor picked it, right? It's a little more complex. You got to be an amazing communicator, and if you screw up a refi, you don't hear from the consumer again. Life can go on. You screw up a purchase, both both agents know about it, both title companies know about it, and your reputation is hurt. And so people that aren't great at purchases, that have kind of lived on the refi and have never done purchases, they're going to feel it. They're going to feel it. But that's nothing new. That happens every cycle, but they're going to feel it. Yeah.
Where do you see this cycle going? Speaking of cycles, where are we headed? Like, are we headed to... Because listen, Matt, the supply demand issues, I don't think going away personally. I think the supply demand issue in the housing market is just progressively kind of getting worse almost, right? It like I thought it was bad last year, the year before that. Do you see supply demand continuing to be an issue, or do you see something changing? Like, what do you see as far as all that goes?
Yeah, it's definitely an issue right now, especially around here, but really around the country. Different areas have hot spots of it. I do think it evolves. Obviously, new construction cannot keep up with the pace of population of people who want to buy homes. The millennials, we talk about the millennials for years. When are the millennials going to buy? Well, they're buying, and there's not enough houses out there in a lot of respects. And then as rates tick up, realize that actually hurts this even more, because if someone's a 30-year fixed at 2.5, right, and they're like, okay, well, this guy wants to buy my house, but I got to go buy another house and have to use 4% interest rate. Like, it almost doesn't make sense. I can't buy as big of a house. It's almost people stay put in that situation.
Yes.
So that does impact the moving up ability of people. And so I do think it will loosen up a little bit, though, based on the purchases going to be hot. It's going to be hot in the next 6 months. And then because we're almost really taking two purchase seasons into one, because the pandemic kind of delayed the last purchase season.
Fair.
And
totally
so
fair.
We think that this will be a really kind of odd 6 months of a lot of purchase, a lot of, demand and supply issues. But I think it will more normalize in October, November into next year. I just think it's going to be a 6-month problem that you have to navigate. And I think closing loans fast and giving people a cash buyer option by having a mortgage loan officer like yourself that has an approval that you can close in 21 days or 25 days is a differentiator over someone else that can just say, hey, I can do a cash offer, or someone else that says, oh, it might take me 45 days. Like, you have a little bit more certainty, and that's what you guys can provide realtors and consumers.
Absolutely.
What do you think is going to change? What do you think is going to change come October, November that's going to alleviate some of these supply and demand issues? Because I don't see what it's going to be. I mean, there's still going to be tons of people trying to buy houses, especially as the economy opens back up and people get out. They're going to be a little stir crazy. Rates going up aren't really going to help the issue either. So, what do you think is going to be the thing that eases it up in the fall? Yeah,
so a couple things. One, like I said, I think the demand. We kind of got 2 years pushed into one, so it's massive right now. So I think that will ease into a more normalized numbers. I also think when people get their jobs, and have a little more certainty, when people are like, okay, restaurants are open, right? People can all of a sudden, they can be more comfortable that their income is stable, and therefore I'm open to moving up, because people aren't listing their houses because they don't know what's out there. They don't know where they can go, and they hear about the supply and demand issue. So I think this stuff will change, but I think we still have 6 months of a kind of a tough environment right now.
Yeah, I think there's like a mindset of the consumer, right? Like, there's a lot of people who took action now while they know the rates are low, right? And then there's the other people who wanted to wait and sit and see what would happen, right? And those clients I was talking to about a 275 no longer can get that, right? So I think that whenever you're in a position like this, where there's like a pandemic or record low rates or record high, sales price, there's like a whole bunch of people sitting on the sidelines waiting on the fence. And I think, kind of to Matt's point, once like things are a little more normalized, hey, I'm not going to lose my job, right? We're kind of through this. I think there'll be a lot of people who list their homes.
Potentially, yeah. I think I wish it's funny, Matt. The government just came out with some more protections for foreclosures. I think the Biden administration did that. They're putting something into law. Do you see the foreclosure issue? Like, because right now we've got a lot of deferred payments and whatnot. Do you see that becoming an issue? Maybe loosening up some inventory because those houses will end up back on the market. You know what I mean? Are people that own rental properties going to sell their properties to cash out because they've gained so much equity in their homes? But do you see the environment changing as far as that goes?
Yeah, I think it's a good point you just made, Paul, is just understanding that the delinquencies and forbearances, when this ends, where it's like, okay, now you got to start making payments, right?
Right.
You know, then it's like, okay, now I'm going to make a payment. Well, maybe I should sell my house. It's worth $300,000. I owe $198. Maybe I just sell it instead of having to make $12,000 of payments in the next 6 months. I can just bring that in. Now, the only issue is then, can they get a mortgage somewhere else and buy another house and move up back to what we were talking about earlier, or not, and how those rules apply? But I definitely think it will help free up some of the inventory. Once again, I think all these things, it's like, and Brad, I think you're right. Your point is right. It's like, I don't see that. None of the things you said, Matt, definitely guarantee me that this thing ends in October. Just like, I don't know, it doesn't end.
Nobody knows. Right.
These things they go in waves. And so we're going to hit a hard wave of low inventory, high demand for the next 3 to 6 months. And that's where we're going to be. But it's a good thing. And then it will change. It evolves.
Yeah.
And it sucks to, get a higher rate, but like at the end of the day, like if you're having a kid or, your second kid or third kid and you need to move up, people will do it. Right. Yep. I mean, when you go to when you go and buy a car, you like, man, I thought it was going to be 2%, or do you say, well, what's payment? Right. Like, I mean,
payment matters. Exactly. Like, how much can I afford to pay? Great point, Sal. And the only thing I also had is, in the big scheme of things, someone's like, oh, rates are so high. They're 3.5. I'm like, yeah, well, in the last 30 years, there's only been 1 year in the last 30 years that has been lower than 3.5. And then we just had it, right? So it's not that high in the big scheme of things. Focus on payment. What can you afford? And go move on.
Perfect, man. Your stock price, obviously you guys went public, right? Are you okay with where your stock price is right now? Do you think you're undervalued? And obviously you don't control a lot of that because you guys are a very healthy company. What do you think about your stock price where it's at today? Is there anything that you see happening that might give investors an idea of like, hey, we're undervalued right now? You know what I mean? Like, I think you might be undervalued personally.
Yeah. My take is, I can't watch it every single minute of the day, because it will drive you nuts. Like, gosh, it went up, but I didn't do anything good today. And it went down. I didn't do anything bad today. Like, so the reality is this, we're as strong as a company. We're a stronger company now than we were when we went public. And very sophisticated investors invested in us at a valuation that's even higher than what we are at right now. Yeah. And I think everyone believes in that, along with we've added in that we're paying a dividend. And so I have very high confidence that the stock price will follow the success that we have. And as we gain market share and grow to become the number one overall mortgage company, and as brokers take more market share, people will see that. And when rates go up, like they just did, and people see the purchase market, like you'll see. And when you see the second quarter numbers, like I'll tell everyone, like, look at second quarter 2020 numbers to second quarter 2021 numbers. Just like I told Jim Cramer when he asked me on the show, I go, let's see that. Let's see what's a sustainable stock, because you're worried about the volatility in the mortgage business. Well, you'll see one company that's the strongest of all, and we'll shine. And so the way I look at it, just like money follows success, the stock price follows success. We're a strong company. We're a stronger company now than we went public, when sophisticated investors invested in us at a $16 billion valuation or a $10 share price. I have no question that it will be up higher in time.
Yeah. So we had a question from Rob Petrillo. He said, with the massive success UWM has seen in the last several years, how aggressive has UWM been with hiring to keep pace with the growth? I think that's a really good question. You guys have hired like mad. When we started, I remember like there was like 30 A's, and we had the whole company. I think it was like 200 people, whatever it was. And today, obviously, you're how many strong? 6,000?
9,000 people. 9,000.
I mean, it's a city, dude. So like, how do you keep up with the hiring and the demand that your business is? Because you guys are very, underwriter heavy, because you guys are underwriting a lot of files, and that takes a skill, right? And not everybody has that skill level. So how do you continue the growth in the marketplace and then sustain the service level with your people?
Yeah, so you got to stay ahead of it, right? You got to stay ahead of the demand for our business by hiring. And actually, literally today, 433 people started, which 400 of them were underwriters today. So like we're not, and now it takes 12 to 16 weeks for them to actually make an impact. So you'll feel that in August in a positive way, maybe September. But the reality is this, you got to stay ahead of the game. You got to stay ahead of the game and invest in the business. I believe in the broker channel. I believe that the purchase market's strong, and we're going to continue to help brokers grow. And so we're going to help them win. So we have to be prepared so I can help service all your clients, whether it's a conventional purchase, a VA refinance, an FHA purchase. Like, we're here to help all these things, help everyone succeed. And so we have to stay. So, and how do we do it? The reality is it's not even that complicated, because I'm not that smart. I don't have any like marketing commercials like crazy. We have some billboards here and there, but the reality is this. We tell our people here, hey, listen, we're looking to hire more people. And they tell their friends. And we get about 300 to 350 applications to work here every day, which is 6,000 to 7,000 a month. And so me finding 400 or 500 in a month is not that big of a deal when 6,000 to 7,000 apply. And so we're getting a lot of people that want to join our family, and it's tied to the culture and the environment and the opportunity to grow and win. And so we're excited about it. That's
awesome, man. Recently, you gave very graciously $32 million to Michigan State. Recently, also you gave another $1 million to pediatric cancer care. So you are doing some philanthropic things. Do you see that continuing? Are there any other things that are near and dear to your heart that you want to kind of help with? Because these are big numbers, right? They're not small numbers. That's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of money. So is that something you're going to continue, you think?
Absolutely. I love that, it's all about making an impact. How do you make an impact on people? And I have things that I'm more passionate about than other things. Of course, I love Michigan State. That was more giving back to what helped me get here. Yeah. But the reality is, like, I'm really big on kids, right? Pediatric cancer was a thing I wanted to help donate towards and help make an impact. But also kids and homeless people, and especially in the Metro Detroit area, those are things I'm really passionate about. We did a thing where we bought a lot of food from restaurants and delivered in the homeless shelters, right? Just trying to help people out, doing two good things: help restaurants and help homeless shelters. And there's more things like this coming. Doing some things in the Pontiac community for the kids. Doing some things. I'm real big on helping Metro. Right? There's a million great causes, and these are the things that personally. This is not UWM. This is Matt. Sure. Matt's passionate about helping people that are, especially children, and then at the same time helping homeless people, helping people have a roof over their head. And so those are things I'm passionate about. And this is just the beginning. How do I continue to make an impact in a big way in the community? And that's what I'm going to continue to do.
Awesome, Matt. Matt, I want to get you off the show, but we're going to do 3 questions and get you going. We do this on every show. We ask 3 random questions that we have not thought about. Guys, do you guys have any random questions that you guys want to ask Matt? Yeah. You guys have any? No?
I'll think of one if you got one.
If you had to wear one article of clothing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
My pajamas.
Your pajamas.
I love my pajamas. They're comfortable, and I can play with my kids, and I can still work from my office if I had to.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's see here. Any other questions? You guys have any questions? No? Nothing?
Yes. If you had to be headquartered in one other state, what would it be?
Oh, probably Florida, because the weather's nice and my kids would love it down there.
What part of Florida?
I'm not moving anywhere.
What part of Florida do you go to?
Probably southern Florida near the water, I assume. I don't know, but the water's everywhere. So just somewhere where I can get a lot of great people, but I'm not going anywhere.
No, you're not going anywhere. No, not at all. And where is Mat Ishbia in 10 years?
I'm right here. I'm going to be right here in Metro Detroit. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be doing this. I might do some other things as we continue to make an impact here. Like we said, charitable things. But I love what I do. Why go anywhere else? If you're happy every day, I got 3 great kids. I got a great business, great people here, can make an impact on brokers. I love what I do. I'm not doing anything besides going to continue to grow, continue to do great things, and hopefully be part of the UWM family and the Brokers for Good.
That's awesome, Matt. Well, listen, go ahead. You're going to say something?
No, I'm good.
All right, Matt, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. Every time I have Matt on the show, I ask him anything off limits. No, totally open book. So, Matt, appreciate anything you want to leave us with. What are you going to come up with next week? Like, what's the next big announcement? Do it here. No, I'm kidding.
I got some good stuff. The only thing I'll leave it with is you guys are on the right track. What you guys are doing at Omega with purchases and taking great care of consumers is the right play. You're building an awesome business there. Let's keep that going. And we're going to do a lot of things to help you. Like, all I can do is like put a little fuel on the fire of what you're doing, but keep doing the great work. Keep helping realtors. Realtors need to know you close on time. You can do it for the consumers. We're going to keep doing it over here at UWM, and we're just getting started where we're going to go.
Yeah, it's funny. You can lead the horse to water, give him the best water in the world, but if we don't drink it, it doesn't matter, right? So, like, ultimately, we've got to use and take advantage of what we got. So, Matt, thank you so much for doing the show, man. We'll have you back on probably the next quarter or something. But God bless and have a little day. Keep up the good work. Honestly,
thanks for having me, guys. Keep up the great work yourselves.
Yeah, Matt. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Yeah, that was it. Matt's always so gracious with us, dude. He just takes time, spends it with us, and he answers hard questions every time he's on the show. I love it.
He does. He does.
Yeah. I think that, with what he's done, like, he's just got to be accountable to it, right? So people are going to ask those questions. They definitely earn the right by being a broker to ask them, right? So
yeah.
If he has great answers and continues to do what he does, then I don't see any issues with anything that he's done.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that he has always, and he's always talked about this, that his process has to outpace his sales. And that just is so evident for him to like have 400 new underwriters, and their underwriting turn times are not bad. You know what I mean? No. And for them to hire 400 more underwriters, Matt is fully invested in making sure that this whole thing like is good. So that I'm impressed by him today. It was good. It was good having him on. Anything you guys want to add before we go?
No, I think we're good, man.
All right. Thank you all for listening to the show. For those of you that made it all the way through, obviously you can find us here at Facebook.com/IRE podcast. You can also find us on any podcast app. But thank you. Please subscribe, share, leave us a review, and hit that notification bell to kind of get the updates to make sure you don't miss a show. But we are going to strive and try to bring you the best content on real estate we possibly can. Thank you all for listening, boys. Have a great day. We'll talk to you on the other side.
See ya.
Peace out.
You've been listening to Inside Real Estate, the nation's top real estate podcast. Don't forget to follow us at irepodcast.com and everywhere where podcasts are available.